I found that the top Nightscape camera used in the world's leading astrophotography competition cost $5,000 US, the top telescopes costing $7,000. That's not to mention the other gear that you need to use on top of that. In this video, I'm going to lay out how you can get into astrophotography for free this year. I'll start by covering landscape astrophotography or nightscapes. After that, I'll look at planetary and deep sky imaging. So let's get into it. So landscape astrophotography. To capture landscape astro images or nightscapes, you traditionally need a DSLR or mirrorless camera, ideally with a full frame sensor. You need a good quality lens with fast aperture and a short focal length for a wide angle. And you need a good quality tripod, so sturdy and light, ideally carbon fiber. Problem is, all of that costs quite a lot of money. I went through the data for the Astrophotography of the Year competition for the last few years to look at what the most commonly used bits of gear were, and actually broke down the budget, mid-range and premium setups according to the data of the most used. You can see them on screen here. So the premium setup is coming in at $7,000 US. The mid-range setup is close to $3,000, and even the budget one is about $500, but that's scraping together used gear that might not actually be that easy to find. Now, for many people, that's a big barrier to entry. The way to start for free is to use your smartphone. Today's smartphones have really good cameras that are more than capable of getting some pretty awesome astrophotography results. At Skies and Scopes, we run the Smartphone Astrophotography of the Year competition. If you're interested in a quick takeaway about smartphone astrophotography, there's a link below to a cheat sheet you can have emailed to you. Now, I know your phone is not free and didn't come for free, but you already own it. It's in your pocket, or you may be watching on this right now, and unless it's like 20 years old, the camera is going to be good enough. It's small and light. You have it on you all the time, even if you're traveling or you're out hiking or something like that. The secret sauce in knowing how to get the most from your phone is in the planning, and all of this can be done for free. This photo here was taken by a very good astrophotographer called Mihail Minkov. He took this though with a fairly budget Xiaomi smartphone with one click, just a phone and a tripod, and he got everything else right. How he did this was by being, one, in a location with low light pollution, two, by timing the moon phase to have really dark skies, and three, timing the Milky Way so that it was at its brightest and clearest point in the sky to photograph. These three things are actually all pretty easy to do and cost nothing. I'll quickly show you how. So number one, you can research places with low light pollution that are convenient for you to travel to easily using free online light pollution maps. You look at the light pollution level for where you are and you see where it is notably lower, and you work out places that you could possibly get to shoot. So you can also use an AI chatbot to do this. I have another video on doing that, but you can easily ask something along the lines of, I live in X place, suggest me locations within 1 hour drive or whatever's right for you that has significantly lower light pollution and offer good opportunities for night sky photography. You'll likely get a few good suggestions. You'll want to check them through Google Maps and check how you might want to get there and everything like that, but you'll get some good ideas if you start digging into that. The second, the moon phase, you can easily check that online for free using moon phase calendars. It'll probably be in your phone's weather app quite potentially, or a lot of apps will cover the moon phase. You want to look for a new moon when it's darkest or closest to that, say 4 days on either side for dark skies. The third thing is you can research where and when the Milky Way will be in the sky using free planetarium software like Stellarium. Now, once you have your location, date and time in mind, you just need to get the shot. So phones like the Google Pixel phones, the Samsung Galaxy Ultra phones have astrophotography modes that are actually pretty good for one-click shooting. So what they do is they take multiple long exposures, they then stack them together and process them to give you a good image all in one. Now, that might sound a little bit complicated if you don't know much about astrophotography, but that's essentially the manual process that you would go through if you had a regular camera, lens and everything set up. You would take multiple long exposures, you would then bring them home, you would use software to stack them, which is creating identical images on top of each other in software to create enough light, produce that image that you're really going to be proud of. If you don't have a Google Pixel, Samsung Galaxy Ultra, you can still get really good results. You can use the night mode often in iPhone. People get really good results if they get the other conditions right. That'll do the long exposure shooting with some automatic processing, but without the stacking element. Another way is you could actually do this all manually, much like you would with a regular camera, but using your phone. You can use apps like Deep Sky Camera for Android, Astro Shader for iOS, anything that acts as a kind of intervalometer is the term you would use, where you can program it to take multiple long exposures consecutively after another. You'd then take that data back to your laptop. You can use free software like Sequitur or Deep Sky Scanner to stack that. You could then run it through free tools to reduce any light pollution impact. And then you can put it into your free software processing editing tool of choice, either on your laptop or on your phone, Snapseed, Lightroom Mobile. All of those tools are free. There are plenty of other options, but you go through that process, you can get some really good results if you get all the conditions right. The only other bit of gear you might want to add, and obviously not free, is a tripod. If you already own a regular photography tripod, you can easily use that. You would just need to add a smartphone clamp to go on the top. These are pretty cheap. You can also get dedicated smartphone tripods for $20 or so that are pretty cheap and pretty good. Your smartphone's light. It doesn't have to be the greatest tripod in the world. If you literally have no money or even if you're just out for a walk somewhere and the skies are clear and you want to just use your phone, you can also just prop it up. Like I've literally done this in my backyard. I was out, the skies were clear. I couldn't find my tripod and I didn't want to make a noise or wake up my kids, but I propped up my phone on a umbrella stand from my backyard table and reached around and I pressed the button. That only really works if you're doing the one-click astrophotography or night modes. If you were doing that with a manual settings, it would take a bit more to program it, but you could use a Bluetooth shutter release. They only cost like $5, but to be honest, if you're gonna pay $5 for a Bluetooth release, you may as well pay $20 for a tripod and not do that. You would then just set a timer delay for when you press the shutter release button so that it has a few seconds to remove any wobble from you pressing it before it starts shooting. The astrophotography and night modes will do that automatically, so don't worry about that. So again, if you want more smartphone astrophotography tips, check out the free cheat sheet you can have emailed to you below. Check out our smartphone astrophotography of the year competition. And now I'm going to move on to deep sky and planetary astrophotography, which is a bit trickier. So photographing the planets, objects in our solar system, far off galaxies, nebulae, is pretty hard to do for free, if you're honest. If you already own a regular DSLR mirrorless camera and you have a regular photography lens, you can use that to get some really good results. There's a link below to a course which teaches this, and you can get photos like this just using regular photography gear. The person who teaches it is a family photographer, and she just used her gear to go out and get results like this. Pretty awesome. Obviously, if you don't already own this gear, then it's not free. So how do we go about it for free? You can use a smartphone again. So these images you can see here are by a guy called Dan Conover, aka Deep Sky Dan. He took these with his smartphone, but he took them through his telescope and with a whole setup. So again, not free if you don't already have that. The best way to get into planetary and deep sky imaging for free, in my opinion, is to use freely available raw photography data and then process it yourself to create your own image. Now, you're probably thinking, but then I'm not taking it myself. And you'd be right. But I'm reminded by this quote by a great astrophotographer called Vikas Chanda that he said to me, 80% of deep sky imaging is processing. Building your own deep sky planetary astrophotography setup in your backyard costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time and effort to master. Once you have all that worked out and you've mastered it, you've then acquired the data, so captured photographs of objects. You then need to bring it home and then you need to processing it. So that is a lot of different steps to master all at once. If you don't have the wherewithal to create a setup like that at the moment, or you don't have the time, like I don't, I've got young kids, then the way to get a head start is to be learning processing now. And if later on in life, when you have more money, which we all dream of, that magical time in the future, and you build your own setup, then you're already way ahead of the game in terms of processing, and you're just learning that one thing in terms of managing your setup. So how to actually get this data? Well, there's a surprising amount available for free online from organizations like NASA or the European Space Organization. So that means you can literally get publicly available images, raw data from the James Webb Space Telescope or the Hubble Space Telescope, and turn them into your own. People do literally win astrophotography competitions doing this. It's completely legitimate as long as you obviously give credit for where you got the data from. NASA data can be acquired from the MAST portal. ESA data can be acquired from ESA Sky. I'll link to all these below. They're pretty intimidating looking. You might need a bit of help working your way around. If you want a deep dive onto any of these, let me know in the comments below. There are also paid platforms like Telescope Live that are really good and a lot easier to navigate. They're pretty affordable, run subscription schemes or credit-based schemes. You're then able to get data for photographs taken from huge telescopes out, for instance, in the desert in Chile or in other dark sky sites around the world, and bring them home and process them yourself and make them your own. Once you have the data, however you've got it, there is really good free astrophotography processing software called Siril that you can use. It's going to take a bit of dedication and time to learn how to use it, but there's free tutorials around. The course I mentioned earlier about using your regular photography gear to take deep sky images, which is linked below, has a whole tutorial on using Siril, and it also has one for using PixInsight, which is kind of the gold standard astrophotography processing software, but that costs money. Now there's quite a lot to unpack there, but I've given you 2 ways to get going in astrophotography this year for free. You can get stuck into either of these methods. You may have some great results. You may find it really hard and not have great results, but you're almost certainly going to learn quite a lot from doing either of these things, even for a little bit. And then if astrophotography is a lifelong hobby for you, if you're really passionate about it, and you probably are if you're this far in the video, then you're going to learn quite a lot, and you're going to be able to carry that on with you as you do develop and look to later in your life when maybe you can invest or do things differently. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. I'll link to everything I mentioned. If there's any aspect of this you would like a deeper dive into, let me know. There is that smartphone astrophotography cheat sheet you can take away. I do also have this video here where I really dived more into these tips and tricks of smartphone astrophotography, so check that out if that's for you, or else let me know below anything else on your mind. Bye.